that pen. Bundy. Oh, yet another thing you start that I finish.
Married with Children didn't just push boundaries. It obliterated them, turning the wholesome family sitcom inside out and daring America to laugh at dysfunction. But behind the insults and canned laughter, chaos ruled production. The network tried to cancel it multiple times. The cast feuded off camera. And one protest campaign, it accidentally made the show a massive hit. These are 20 secrets about Married, with children hidden for decades. And buried in the couch cushions, a pilot episode so different the network almost killed it before anyone saw it. Sit down and put your hand in your pants. This gets messier than you think. Number 20, Fox, nearly canceled the show after 3 episodes.
Says I've been a 7.
When Married with Children premiered in April 1987, it was Fox's first original sitcom, part of the fledgling network's attempt to compete with the big 3 networks. The ratings were abysmal. Almost nobody watched. After 3 episodes, Fox executives convened emergency meetings to discuss cancellation. The show was bombing, attracting minimal viewership, and making Fox look foolish for attempting original programming. But Fox had a problem. They'd committed to a full season and had almost no other original content ready. Canceling Married with Children would leave gaping holes in their schedule. So they made a decision based purely on logistics rather than faith. Keep it running until something better came along. The show limped through its first season with terrible ratings, barely noticed by critics or audiences. The cast assumed they'd be canceled and started looking for other work. Ed O'Neill later said he was certain the show would be gone after 1 season, that it was too weird and offensive to survive. But something strange happened during summer reruns. People discovered the show, word of mouth spread, and when season 2 premiered, ratings had improved significantly. Fox's accidental decision to keep a failing show alive, purely because they had nothing to replace it with, ended up saving what would become their longest-running live-action sitcom, proving that sometimes survival is just dumb luck. Number 19. Ed O'Neill was a failed football player playing his own nightmare.
Hi, I'm Al Bundy. There's a time I scored 4 touchdowns in 1 game on this field.
I played high school football.
All right, contestants, we polled 100 derelicts and asked them, if the government actually made you work, what job would you least like to have?
Al Bundy's defining characteristic is being a washed-up high school football star who peaked at 17 and spent the rest of his life reliving that one moment of glory. The character's bitterness about unfulfilled potential wasn't entirely fiction. Ed O'Neill had been a legitimate football talent, signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1969 as an undrafted free agent. He made it to training camp, practiced with the team, believed he'd finally achieved his dream of playing professional football. Then he was cut before the regular season began. His football career ended before it started, and he had to completely reinvent himself as an actor. When O'Neill read The Married with Children, script describing Al Bundy as a former high school football hero trapped in a dead-end job, the parallel to his own life was painfully clear. He was playing a version of what he could have become if he'd let that football failure define him. O'Neill brought authentic bitterness to the role because he understood that specific flavor of disappointment, knowing you were good enough to taste success, but not quite good enough to keep it. The performance resonated because it wasn't entirely performance. O'Neill channeled real frustration and regret, making Al's pathetic glory days feel genuinely tragic rather than just comedic. That undercurrent of authentic pain made Al Bundy more than a cartoon. He was a warning about what happens when your best moment happens too early, and everything after is just slow decline. Number 18. Katie Sagal was pregnant 3 times. During filming,
no TV. I guess that means we'll just have to entertain ourselves at night.
Peggy Bundy's costume, that tight clothing and distinctive silhouette, had to be constantly adjusted because Katie Sagal was pregnant multiple times during the show's run. The first pregnancy in 1991 was written into the show, with Peggy becoming pregnant as part of the storyline. The writers created an entire arc around it, filming episodes that acknowledged her condition. But tragedy struck when Seagal suffered a miscarriage late in the pregnancy. The episodes that had been filmed suddenly became impossibly painful to air. Fox made the controversial decision to pretend the pregnancy storyline never happened, opening the next season with Peggy waking up and the entire pregnancy being revealed as Al's dream. It was bizarre, tonally jarring, and criticized as insensitive. But the alternative, acknowledging the real-life tragedy in the context of a sitcom, seemed worse. Seagal became pregnant again during later seasons, and the costume department worked frantically to hide it. They used oversized purses, positioned her behind furniture, filmed her from chest up, and dressed her in increasingly creative outfits that concealed her changing body. Some episodes feature Peggy holding enormous objects for no apparent reason, purely to hide Seagal's pregnancy. The actress endured the physical demands of sitcom filming while dealing with the emotional trauma of her miscarriage and the awkwardness of hiding subsequent pregnancies. Her professionalism throughout these challenges, continuing to deliver comedic performances while experiencing private pain, demonstrated remarkable strength that audiences never saw. Number 17. The show created the modern couch, gag format. Before Married or with Children, sitcom opening credits were straightforward. Show the cast, maybe some establishing shots of the setting, roll the theme song, Married with Children. Revolutionized this with what became known as the couch gag, a brief comedic scene during the opening credits showing the family on the couch in various humorous situations. Each episode's opening featured the Bundys sitting together while the theme song played, but their positions, expressions, and actions changed. Sometimes they looked miserable, sometimes actively fighting, sometimes in absurd costumes or situations. The couch gags had nothing to do with that episode's plot. They were just moments of visual comedy that reinforced the family's dysfunction. This innovation seems minor, but it influenced countless shows afterward. The Simpsons adopted and expanded the concept, with their couch gags becoming increasingly elaborate. Other sitcoms started adding visual variety to their opening credits, recognizing that audiences who'd seen the same credits hundreds of times appreciated fresh elements. The Married with Children couch gags were born from practical necessity. The show had a limited budget, and the producers needed to create opening credits that felt dynamic without expensive production. Filming the cast sitting on the couch in different ways was cheap and quick, but that budget limitation created a format innovation that changed television comedy. The opening credits became an opportunity for additional jokes rather than just functional identification of the cast and crew, proving that sometimes the best innovations come from figuring out how to do more with less. Number 16. A boycott campaign made the show a massive hit.
Or do you think he'd like it better without the bra, like this? Oh, sir.
In 1989, a Michigan housewife named Terry Ricolta watched Married with her children and was horrified by the sexual content and anti-family messaging. She launched a letter-writing campaign to advertisers, threatening boycotts if they continued supporting the show. Major companies including Procter & Gamble, McDonald's, and Coca-Cola pulled their advertising in response to her pressure. Fox executives panicked, worried the boycott would kill the show financially, even if viewers kept watching. But something unexpected happened. Ricolta's campaign generated massive media coverage. News programs ran stories about the controversial sitcom that was too offensive for advertisers. Newspapers wrote articles describing the show's crude humor and dysfunctional family. Suddenly, millions of people who'd never heard of Married with Children were curious to see what was so terrible. Ratings exploded. The show went from modest viewership to a genuine hit seemingly overnight. People tuned in specifically to see the offensive content that had sparked such outrage, and many stayed because they found it genuinely funny. The boycott had backfired spectacularly, providing free publicity that the show's limited marketing budget could never have afforded. Fox quickly realized that controversy was profitable, that being targeted by moral watchdogs was actually beneficial. They leaned into the show's edginess, making it even more provocative. Terry Ricolta had intended to destroy Married with Children, but instead made it a cultural phenomenon, teaching Hollywood that outrage could be weaponized as marketing. Number 15. Christina Applegate and David Faustino hated each other.
School supplies. You know, like my music, my Walkman, my overnight bag, my makeup.
The red light bulb that goes on. When do you think I should make my move?
You'll know when the time is right.
Oh, man. I'm gonna get me an old woman.
On screen, Kelly and Bud Bundy had typical sibling antagonism, constantly insulting each other, but ultimately sharing family bonds. Off-screen, Christina Applegate and David Faustino genuinely couldn't stand each other for the first several seasons. The animosity started immediately. Applegate was 16 when the show began. Faustino was 13, and they had completely incompatible personalities. Applegate was serious about acting, studied her craft, and wanted to be treated professionally. Faustino was a kid who goofed around constantly, played pranks, and didn't take anything seriously. Their different approaches created constant friction. Applegate found Faustino immature and annoying. Faustino thought Applegate was uptight and condescending. They barely spoke between takes, avoided each other during breaks, and communicated through other cast members when possible. The producers knew about the tension, but didn't intervene because it actually helped their on-screen chemistry. The genuine irritation made their sibling rivalry feel authentic rather than performed. As years passed and both matured, the hostility gradually faded. By the later seasons, they developed grudging mutual respect and eventually genuine friendship. Applegate later admitted she'd been too hard on Faustino, that her own insecurities about being a teenage actress made her overly critical. Faustino acknowledged he'd been an obnoxious kid who probably deserved her irritation. Their eventual reconciliation made the show's final seasons warmer, the sibling dynamic evolving from pure antagonism to something more nuanced and affectionate, mirroring the actors' real relationship growth. Number 14. Ed O'Neill refused to appear in the reunion special.
Peg, I prefer a place where my balls are returned promptly. Well, mercy, congratulations. I didn't know you were expecting. Oh, Kelly!
Al, we have to talk.
Why, I'm broke and I'm blind, Peg. What else?
When talks began about a Married with Children reunion in the years following the show's 1997 finale, 3 of the 4 main cast members were enthusiastic. Katie Sagal, Christina Applegate, and David Faustino all expressed interest in revisiting their characters. Ed O'Neill flatly refused. He had no interest in returning to Al Bundy, a character he'd played for 11 seasons, and felt he'd completely exhausted. O'Neill had moved on, pursuing dramatic roles, eventually landing the role of Jay Pritchett on Modern Family that would define his later career. He saw Al Bundy as a chapter of his life that was finished, not something to be revisited for nostalgia or money. The other cast members tried to convince him, arguing that fans deserved closure, that a reunion would be fun. O'Neill remained unmoved. Without him, reunion plans collapsed. There was no Married with Children without Al Bundy. O'Neill later explained his reasoning in interviews. He felt the show had run its course, that the finale, while not perfect, had provided enough closure. Returning would be purely commercial, giving audiences something they thought they wanted rather than something that served the story. He also worried that a reunion would inevitably disappoint, that no special could match people's nostalgic memories of the show at its peak. His refusal frustrated fans who wanted to see the Bundys one more time, but it also demonstrated artistic integrity. O'Neill valued the show's legacy too much to potentially damage it with a mediocre reunion. Number 13. The original pilot was completely different.
Wait a second, I think it's starting to come back to me. I see shapes. I see straw. Oh, Kelly.
Oh, give me that pen. Bundy. Oh, yet another thing you start that I finish.
The Married with Children pilot that audiences eventually saw wasn't the original version. The first pilot, filmed in 1986, was so different that Fox rejected it entirely and demanded it be reshot. That original pilot featured a different actress playing Kelly Bundy, had different writing, and a completely different tone. Tina Caspery was originally cast as Kelly, playing her as more wholesome and less aggressively ditzy than Christina Applegate's eventual interpretation. The pilot script was also softer, attempting to balance the show's cynicism with traditional sitcom warmth. Test audiences hated it. The show felt confused, trying to be both subversive and conventional, failing at both. Fox told the producers to start over, recast if necessary, and commit fully to the dysfunctional family concept without apology. Christina Applegate replaced Tina Caspery, bringing an entirely different energy to Kelly. The character became more exaggerated, less sympathetic, and funnier. The writers rewrote the pilot, removing attempts at heartwarming moments and leaning into pure dysfunction. This second pilot is what aired, and it set the template for the entire series. The rejected first pilot exists in Fox's archives, occasionally seen by film students and television historians. Those who've watched both versions universally agree the reshot pilot was superior, that the first version would have resulted in a forgettable show that wouldn't have lasted one season. Sometimes the first attempt is just practice for getting it right. Number 12, the studio audience hated the show. Initially,
Don't be a cow pie your whole life. She's hot for you. She's reaching her sexual peak, you're reaching your sexual peak.
This really is all Al's fault. He just doesn't pay any attention to me anymore. Isn't that true, Al?
Married with Children was filmed before a live studio audience, standard practice for sitcoms. But the early episodes faced a unique problem. The audience didn't laugh. They sat in uncomfortable silence during jokes about Al's miserable marriage, Peggy's laziness, and the family's mutual contempt. Traditional sitcom audiences expected warmth and resolution. Married with Children offered neither, just relentless mockery of marriage and family life. The producers faced a dilemma. They believed in the show's cynical humor, but couldn't air episodes with silent laugh tracks. Their solution was controversial. They began screening audience members more carefully, looking for people who appreciated dark comedy. They also started warming up the crowd differently, preparing them for humor that was meaner and more subversive than typical sitcoms. Some episodes required extensive sweetening, adding canned laughter in post-production to compensate for insufficient audience response. Critics later accused the show of relying too heavily on artificial laughter, but the producers argued they were just filling gaps when jokes landed, but audiences were too shocked to laugh immediately. As the show became more popular and audiences understood its tone, the live laughter improved. By later seasons, studio audiences came specifically to see Married with Children, primed for its style of humor. The laughter became genuine and enthusiastic. But those early episodes, the ones that established the show's voice, required extensive manipulation to sound like audiences were enjoying what they were actually watching in confused silence. Number 11. The theme song changed because of licensing costs. Original Married with Children theme song was a specific recording that Fox paid to license for the first season. But when the show was renewed, licensing fees for continued use became prohibitively expensive. The producers needed a replacement theme that would be cheaper for long-term use. They chose a different version of the same song, recorded by different artists at lower cost. Most viewers never noticed the switch, because the melody and lyrics were identical, just performed differently. But hardcore fans detected the change, noting the new version had different instrumentation and vocal style. The theme song replacement illustrates the financial pressures of early television production. Married with Children was made on an extremely limited budget, forcing constant compromises. Music licensing was expensive, so they used the cheapest viable options. Sets were minimal and reused constantly. Guest stars were rarely hired because they cost money. The Bundy living room became iconic, partly because they couldn't afford to film anywhere else, the budget forcing creative limitations that became defining characteristics. Later, when the show became profitable, they could have upgraded to better music, larger sets, and bigger guest stars. But by then, the low-budget aesthetic was part of the show's identity. The cheap production values reinforced the Bundys' lower-class status, making their poverty feel authentic. What started as financial necessity became artistic choice, proving that sometimes limitations create better art than unlimited resources. Number 10. The shoe store. Set was built from recycled materials.
Remember me, Bundy?
No.
The one you insulted?
I'm sorry, ma'am. You'll have to be a little more specific. Give me the shoe.
Hold on! Break!
Gary's Shoes and Accessories for Today's Woman, where Al Bundy worked and suffered daily humiliation, was one of television's most recognizable workplaces, but the entire set was constructed from materials salvaged from other Fox productions. The shelving units came from a canceled drama's office set. The chairs were from a failed game show. Even the shoeboxes were recycled props from various productions, relabeled for continuity. Fox's tiny budget for the show meant building new sets from scratch was impossible. The production designers scavenged the studio lot, grabbing anything usable from shows that had been canceled or completed. They assembled the shoe store from mismatched pieces, painting and arranging them to create a cohesive space. The result looked appropriately cheap and depressing, perfect for Al's dead-end job. Ed O'Neill later joked that working on that set felt authentically soul-crushing because everything about it was literally garbage from failed shows. The recycled quality added to the atmosphere of defeat and disappointment. Later seasons had slightly bigger budgets that could have funded a nicer set, but the producers kept the original shoe store because it had become iconic. Fans recognized that dingy, cramped space instantly. Changing it would have felt wrong. So, the recycled set remained throughout the entire 11-season run. A monument to making something memorable from literal scraps. The shoe store proved that production design doesn't require money, just creativity and willingness to dumpster dive through studio storage facilities. Number 9. Amanda Bears. Directed more episodes than anyone realized.
But clearly, your cries of "pluck me to the barber" did not go unanswered.
Jerry, come on in here. This is our director, and you can see how well adjusted.
Marcy Rhodes, later Marcy Darcy, was the Bundys' uptight feminist neighbor played by Amanda Bears. But Bears' contribution to the show extended far beyond acting. She directed 31 episodes across the series' run, more than any other director on the show. This fact remained relatively unknown because directors on sitcoms rarely receive significant recognition or publicity. Bears started directing in season 3 after expressing interest in moving behind the camera. The producers, looking to save money by using someone already on payroll, gave her opportunities to direct. She proved talented, understanding the show's rhythm and the actors' strengths. Her directing style was efficient and collaborative, getting what was needed without wasting time or money. Cast members enjoyed working with her because she understood their perspectives as a fellow performer. Ed O'Neill particularly appreciated her direction, later saying she got better performances from him than most outside directors. Bears balanced directing duties with her acting role, sometimes directing episodes where she also appeared as Marcy. This required careful scheduling and energy management, directing scenes in the morning, then acting in them during afternoon tapings. The dual responsibility was exhausting, but creatively fulfilling. Bears' directing career continued after married, with children ended, working on numerous sitcoms throughout the 2000s. But those 31 episodes represented her training ground, where she developed skills while contributing to a show that gave her the opportunity most actresses never receive. Number 8. The famous Bundy bathroom was never actually shown.
But family, I'm going to realize my second dream. I'm going to build a bathroom. The greatest bathroom in the world. And I want you to know something.
Throughout 11 seasons and 262 episodes, countless jokes referenced the Bundy family bathroom. Characters went to it, complained about it, discussed its horrible condition. But the bathroom itself was never shown on screen. Not once. This wasn't accidental. The producers deliberately kept the bathroom off-screen as a running gag, letting audiences imagine something worse than anything they could actually show. The bathroom became mythological, described in increasingly grotesque terms without ever being visualized. Jokes suggested it was disgusting beyond comprehension, that entering it was hazardous, that things lived there, but showing it would have ruined the mystique. Whatever the production designers created couldn't match what viewers imagined. The invisible bathroom became one of the show's cleverest recurring jokes, proof that sometimes what's unseen is funnier than what's revealed. This technique saved money since they never had to build a bathroom set, but it also demonstrated sophisticated comedy writing. The writers understood that mystery and suggestion could be more effective than explicit depiction. Other sitcoms showed every room of their houses, explaining geography and layout. Married, with Children, kept one room permanently off limits, maintaining it as comedic concept rather than physical space. In later seasons, fans expected the bathroom would eventually be revealed as a special event or series finale moment. It never was. The show ended with the Bundy bathroom remaining unseen, preserving the joke until the very end. Number 7. David Faustino's voice changed dramatically. During production,
Oh man, what a break. Getting a 17-year-old French babe.
You talk to him. Okay, Esther, now listen to me. We're gonna have to take your mind off of sex. Now think of the guy from the Zima commercials.
Bud. Bundy started the series as a 13-year-old with a high, youthful voice. Over 11 seasons, David Faustino went through puberty on camera, his voice dropping several octaves. Early episodes sound completely different from later seasons, Bud's voice transforming from child to adult across the show's run. This created continuity problems. In syndication, when episodes air out of order, Bud's voice changes randomly from episode to episode, jumping between high and low, depending on which season is airing. The producers couldn't do anything about this natural biological process. They briefly considered dubbing Faustino's lines in early episodes during later syndication, using his adult voice for consistency. But that would have been too expensive and technically complicated. Instead, they accepted the voice changes as unavoidable reality. The shifting voice became part of the show's charm, a reminder that Married with Children ran long enough for its child actors to literally grow up on screen. Faustino was self-conscious about his changing voice during the transition period. He'd record episodes worrying whether he sounded weird, whether audiences would notice and mock him. But the changes happened gradually enough that week-to-week viewers adjusted naturally. Only when comparing early and late episodes side by side does the dramatic transformation become obvious. The voice changes also affected Bud's character. As Faustino's voice deepened, Bud became more confident and aggressive, less the whiny little brother. The vocal change supported character development, biological reality aligning with creative choices. Number 6. The show was banned in multiple countries.
Oh, no.
It's either you or the shirt.
Excuse me, would you mind putting some oil on my back?
Well, I'd be honored.
Married. With Children's anti-family humor and sexual content made it controversial in the United States, but several countries banned it outright, deeming it too offensive for broadcast. Ireland banned the show completely until the late 90s, citing its mockery of marriage and Catholic family values. Several Middle Eastern countries refused to air it due to sexual content and Peggy's revealing clothing. Even Canada, usually similar to the US in broadcast standards, restricted the show to late-night time slots with viewer warnings. The bans and restrictions created a forbidden fruit effect. People in countries where the show was prohibited sought bootleg copies, creating underground markets for Married with Children episodes. In some places, watching the show became an act of minor rebellion against censorship. When the bans eventually lifted in most countries, new generations discovered the show through streaming services and syndication. Many found it surprisingly tame compared to contemporary comedy, wondering what the fuss had been about. But in the late 80s and early 90s, Married with Children represented genuinely shocking content for broadcast television. It pushed boundaries that hadn't been pushed before, challenging the wholesome family sitcom model that dominated the medium. The international bans actually validated the show's subversive nature, proving it was genuinely challenging norms rather than just pretending to be edgy. The controversy was real, the offense was genuine, and the cultural impact was significant enough that governments felt compelled to protect their citizens from the Bundy family's dysfunction. Number 5. Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bears stopped speaking to each other. The professional relationship between Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bears completely deteriorated during the show's run, creating years of uncomfortable tension on set. The breakdown happened gradually. Bears came out as a lesbian in 1993, becoming one of the first openly gay actors on television. She expected support from her castmates and received it from most of them, but O'Neill's response was reportedly cold and distant. Bears later claimed O'Neill made her feel unwelcome after coming out, that his attitude toward her changed noticeably. O'Neill denied being homophobic, but admitted they'd had conflicts over various issues, not just her sexuality. Their working relationship became purely professional. They'd perform scenes together perfectly, then ignore each other completely off camera. They stopped making eye contact during breaks, communicated through intermediaries when necessary, and avoided any interaction beyond what scripts required. The rest of the cast and crew found the situation uncomfortable, but couldn't resolve it. Both O'Neill and Bears were stubborn, neither willing to apologize or reconcile. The feud continued through the show's final season and beyond. When Married, with Children ended, they went their separate ways without reconciling. Years later, both have softened slightly in interviews, acknowledging the conflict while avoiding detailed discussion. But they've never reunited or publicly made peace. The sad irony is that Al and Marcy's on-screen antagonism was supposed to be comedy, but the actors' real-life animosity was genuine and painful for everyone involved. Number 4. The show's writers were mostly women, writing misogynist jokes.
When some moo cow thunders in here with a pie under each chin, I'm not supposed to ask.
And I see you must have fallen on your butt a time or two.
How dare you say that to my face?
One of Married, with Children's most controversial aspects, was its relentless misogyny, with Al constantly insulting women, particularly fat women, in the crudest possible terms. What many viewers didn't know was that much of this content was written by the show's predominantly female writing staff. More than half the writers were women, including several key contributors who wrote the show's most offensive material. This created a strange dynamic. Women were writing jokes mocking women, creating content that advocacy groups condemned as harmful to women. When critics attacked the show's sexism, the writers defended themselves by pointing out their gender, arguing that women mocking themselves was different from men mocking women. The debate became complex and philosophical. Did having female writers excuse the content? Or was it actually worse, women participating in their own degradation for paychecks? The writers themselves had mixed feelings. Some saw it as empowering, reclaiming offensive humor by controlling it. Others admitted they were just writing what the show required, separating professional work from personal beliefs. The situation illustrated broader questions about comedy and offense. Is a joke's impact determined by who writes it or who delivers it? Does intent matter more than effect? Can satire and genuine offense coexist? Married, with Children never answered these questions, just kept producing controversial content that sparked endless debate. The female writers provided cover for content that might have been more aggressively condemned if written entirely by men, complicating simple accusations of misogyny with the reality of women's participation. Number 3. The show cost almost nothing to produce.
I can't believe this. Let's have kids. Now I got a ticket.
Driving with your shoes off, Al?
Until 3:30 to get my overtime. And these 1-hour days are killing me.
Compared to other sitcoms, while contemporary sitcoms like Cheers and The Cosby Show spent over $1 million per episode, Married, with Children's budget never exceeded $300,000 per episode, even in later seasons when the show was a proven hit. Fox kept costs ruthlessly low through various strategies. The main set was permanent, never changing. Guest stars were rare and paid minimally. the 4 main actors, locked into long-term contracts signed before the show became successful, earned far less than stars of comparable hits. Ed O'Neill made approximately $150,000 per episode at the show's peak, while contemporaries like Tim Allen and Jerry Seinfeld were earning over $1 million per episode. The other cast members made even less. The low budget showed in subtle ways. Sets were sparse, lighting was basic, special effects were minimal or non-existent. Episodes were shot quickly with minimal rehearsal time. The show looked cheaper than network sitcoms, but that aesthetic actually reinforced the Bundys' lower-class status. When Fox tried to increase the budget in later seasons, offering money for improved production values, the producers refused. They believed the cheap look was essential to the show's identity. Polishing it would make it feel wrong, would undermine the whole point. The low production costs made Married with Children extremely profitable for Fox. Even with modest ratings, the show generated significant revenue because expenses were minimal. That profitability ensured its survival through ratings dips and controversies. The show was simply too cheap to cancel. Number 2. The series finale was rewritten after being leaked.
So this is all my fault then?
Oh no, honey. Once again, this is your father's fault. And you know what you're gonna have to do to make this up to me, don't you?
For the 37th, 8th, and 9th times, no.
The original Married with Children series finale was written months before the final episode aired. It featured a major event, the Bundys winning the lottery and becoming wealthy, exploring how money would change their dynamics. The script was completed, sets were being built, and the cast was preparing to film when disaster struck. Details of the finale leaked to the press, with entertainment magazines publishing spoilers about the lottery storyline. Fans knew exactly what would happen, eliminating any surprise or emotional impact. The producers faced a choice: film the leaked finale anyway, or start over with limited time. They chose to start over. The writers locked themselves in a room for 48 hours and wrote a completely new finale, focusing on the family simply continuing their dysfunctional existence, refusing to give them any kind of resolution or closure. The new finale was deliberately anticlimactic, rejecting the tradition of series finales that wrap up storylines and provide emotional catharsis. The Bundys would go on being miserable forever, unchanged and unchanging. Some fans loved this choice, seeing it as perfectly appropriate for a show that mocked sitcom conventions. Others felt cheated, wanting some acknowledgement that the 11-year journey meant something. The rewritten finale divided audiences, but stayed true to the show's cynical spirit. Married with Children refused to go gentle, rejecting sentimentality even at the very end. The Bundys didn't get redemption or growth or happy resolution. They just kept being the Bundys, exactly as they'd always been, forever trapped in their own dysfunction. Number 1. Fox wanted a spin-off, but the cast refused.
All right, kids, let's put on our costumes that we made last night.
What did the doctor say, you ask?
After Married with Children ended in 1997, Fox immediately wanted to capitalize on its success with a spin-off series. They developed several concepts, including shows focusing on Kelly Bundy, Bud Bundy, and even the Darcy family. Scripts were written, pilots were planned, and Fox offered significant money to the actors to continue their characters in new settings. Every single main cast member said no. Christina Applegate had no interest in continuing Kelly Bundy, wanting to prove she could play different roles. David Faustino felt similarly trapped by Bud and eager to move on. Amanda Bearse was focused on her directing career and done with acting. Ed O'Neill was the most adamant, absolutely refusing to have anything to do with any Married with Children continuation. The cast's unified refusal was unusual. Typically, at least one actor would be willing to continue for the money and steady work, but the Married with Children cast had spent 11 years together and wanted it definitively over. They'd told the Bundys' story completely and had nothing more to say. Fox persisted, offering more money, creative control, anything to change their minds. Nothing worked. Eventually, Fox gave up and moved on to other projects. The failed spin-off attempts demonstrated something important. Married with Children worked because of that specific cast's chemistry and commitment. Replacing any of them or separating them into different shows would have failed. The show was lightning in a bottle, impossible to recapture or extend. Sometimes the best decision is knowing when something is truly finished. Married, with Children didn't just challenge the family sitcom, it burned it down and danced on the ashes. The secrets revealed that creating television's most dysfunctional family required real dysfunction behind the scenes. If this trip down memory lane entertained you, hit like, subscribe, and tell us which secret shocked you most. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the worst families make the best television.